See in the daytime, and Imperial Palace, can't go in, but you can look at it from the outside. And but you don't want to miss a couple of things. Going to.
Do we have a call tonight or just a regular?
We do have a call. Getting a public hearing first, so. And I don't have food.
Here's map of 6.
Jackie will slide in.
So are you teaching or what is it?
All right, welcome everyone. Glad everyone is here tonight. This is Tuesday, June the 12th, 2018. First on the agenda is a public hearing. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to address the city government budget that's currently before us tonight and at the next meeting? Seeing none, we will adjourn the public hearing and go directly into the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. First is the roll call and the call, please.
Okay, to the aldermen of the city of Tullahoma, you and each of you are hereby notified that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and the Mayor Board of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee is called to meet in a special call session on Tuesday, June 12, 2018 at 5:30 at the Municipal Building to conduct a public hearing on ordinance number 1502 and for the purpose of considering the following. Number 1, ordinance number 1502, an ordinance of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee, adopting the annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018 and ending June 30th, 2019 for passage on the second of 3 readings. And number 2, for the purpose of transacting any other business that may lawfully come before the board and waive any and all irregularities of same. Roll call. Mayor Lane Curley.
Here.
Alderman Blanks.
Here.
Duncan.
Here.
Dunn. Here. King.
Here.
Noes. Here. Mathis.
Here.
7 present.
All right, we have a quorum, so we will proceed. We're very pleased that Pastor Matthew Miller is here with the Highland Hills Church of Christ. Ask him to step to the podium and offer our invocation. Ask everyone to please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. He shared with me that just a moment ago that today is his 8th wedding anniversary. So congratulations.
You would bow with me. Lord God, it's a privilege and an honor to be able to join together here this evening. And Lord, we love the city. We love this community. This is the place where we conduct the ebbs and flows of our life. And God, we ask this evening that all the work that each of these men and women do, that each person who's represented here seek the welfare and seek the flourishing of this place. God, our spaces, our sacred spaces, our inhabitants, both people and creation, that occupy this community that we all live in and work together in. God, I pray that each person here who's represented sees their role not only as a job, but also as a vocation, which is a call. And that their call is to help bring the flourishing of our citizens and the flourishing of the work of beauty and truth and goodness here in Tullahoma. God, we ask that you give them wisdom, that you give them insight, and that you give them the right steps to take to promote that flourishing, to cultivate the conditions that will promote our growth and our well-being. God, again, thank you so much for the divine privilege of being able to join together in this prayer. And we ask this in the power and name of our Lord Jesus. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for the privilege of being asked to be here.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Well, you see, we have a new face join us this evening. We're very pleased to welcome Miss Amy Christopher. She has quite the resume. She is a rising senior at Thelma High School. She has a cumulative GPA of 4.77. I don't know how you do that, but ACT score of 34. She's a contender for the National Merit semifinalist. She has selected from her freshman class for achievements in World History Honors. She's third overall in Tennessee in the DECA competition for marketing communications. She's a preliminary scholastics winner and second runner-up overall of Distinguished Young Women, Cumberland Valley, Tullahoma. She placed second overall in the pre-calculus test for the Middle Tennessee region. She is a junior varsity soccer most valuable player. She earned the Faculty Chemistry Award. She is a member of the Mu Alpha Theta Math Honor Society. She was an alternate in Volunteer Girls State. She's a member of the National Honor Society, the National English Honor Society. She's vice president of the senior class this coming year. She's on the tennis team, and perhaps most significant, she's a lifeguard at Spice Island. So, we're very pleased to welcome Ms. Christopher. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, please, ma'am.
So I think he mostly hit the mark on that. One thing you don't get from my resume is that I'm a very creative person. I love art, and I love getting involved with our community with that. I like to volunteer at the Tullahoma Fine Arts Center, participate in student exhibits there. I like to be involved in the community. You know, I'm involved in student council and honor societies that really do give back and get involved with our community. So that's important to me also. And I'm also athletic as I am artsy. So, and you kind of heard that in there too. I dance, and then I play tennis and soccer. So I think that about covers it for me. And I'm just really humbled and excited to be here with you guys tonight. So thank you for having me.
Where do you want to go to school?
So that's undecided. I'm still looking around trying to figure that out.
Is Alabama a choice? Probably not, but I'm just asking.
Probably not. I'd be honored for that, yes.
For those of you who don't know, one of the biggest fans of Alabama in Tullahoma is sitting to my left. I won't call his name because that will give him an opportunity to speak. But but you're thinking, you shared with me earlier, maybe Auburn.
Yes,
maybe
I have a sister
Oregon.
that goes to Auburn. So.
Yeah. We've got a fan there too. Yeah. So to compliment, she doesn't know this, I don't believe, but the Tullahoma Arts Council recognized Miss Christopher in second place in grades 9 through 12 at the recent art show that we had in Tullahoma at South Jackson. So in addition to all the accolades, you can now add that to your 3 pages of awards. So if you don't mind, Ms. Christopher, stand at your desk and we'll present you with an honorary ornament certificate.
Okay.
Congratulations. So, Ms. Christopher, we'll call on you in just a few minutes and recognize you for any activities you're involved with this summer that's relevant, okay?
Okay.
Okay, as you can see, we've got a number of people that we're anxious to recognize tonight that have been recognized in the community for jobs well done. So I'm going to start with we have 3 Miss Tullahomas, I believe, in the audience. So we'll start with our Miss Tullahomas. So I'm going to start with, I saw Miss Tips here earlier. Hannah, do you mind stepping up to the podium here, please? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the little Miss Tullahoma. This right there is perfect. So I want the TV camera to be able to see you. Okay. Hannah Tips, she's going to be in 1st grade at Fair Elementary School.
They're frog.
Yeah, they're frogs. Her parents are Jason and Carla Tips. She has sisters, Hallie and Hazel. And Hannah loves to swim and dance. So thank you for being here. So stand right there for just a minute, please. Now, we've also got our junior Miss Tullahoma, Mary Catherine Stroop. Miss Stroop, if you don't mind, stand here next to Hannah. She is the daughter of Jeff and Jody Stroop and sister to Caleb and Carson. She is an upcoming freshman at Tullahoma High School. She is very active in extracurricular activities such as gymnastics, dance, and track. She was recently selected to the THS freshman cheerleading squad and the THS girls soccer team. She was also selected to the UCA All-American cheerleading squad, which was recognized at Disney this past Thanksgiving. This summer she will be attending Tennessee Tech for a week of cheer camp. In her free time, she loves to hang out with her family and go to the lake, swimming, and being with her friends. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Mary Catherine Stroop. All right, and then we've got Miss Tullahoma here, Jada Harden. Jada, if you don't mind, step to the podium as well. Jada is the daughter of Jennifer Lavorne and Cecil Harden. She was also junior Miss Tullahoma in 2013. Jada is very active in the community. She was a captain of the Tullahoma High School varsity cheerleading squad, active member in DECA, 2018 graduate, and we're attending the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa in the fall. And she will be studying nursing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to present to you our reigning Miss Tullahomas. Let's recognize. All right. I think Mr. Brooks wants to get a picture of the 3 of you.
Just line up. Junior all the way across. And Mayor, open up here.
Yep, I'm going to let you get the 3 of them. Hannah, there's yours. That. And Miss Fruit, here's yours.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Miss Harden, there's yours. You're welcome. Do we have any mama? Come on up here, mama. You can get a better picture.
Stay right there.
You want to get a little bit closer.
1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Let me give any of you the opportunity, if you'd like to. Jada, would you like to say anything, or any of the 3 of you like to talk at the podium? Come on. Just the 3 of y'all come back up here for just a second, please. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Little one's legs.
Hannah?
The little one's headed to the
Okay.
door.
Hannah, do you want to come up here? Maybe next time.
Well, I'm Jada Harden. I just graduated at the high school. I'll be attending the University of Alabama in the fall. I enjoy cheering. That's basically what I'm built around, like my schedule. And yeah, I think that's it.
Good. Well, thank you for being
Will
here.
you be cheering at Alabama?
Oh, well, not the first year. I'm doing sorority first year, and then I'm gonna train this first year, and then try out sophomore year.
There you go.
Thank you and welcome. Congratulations.
I'm Mary Catherine Stroop. I'm going into the 9th grade at THS. I made the high school cheerleading team for freshmen. I'm so excited for the next season that I have for soccer and cheer. And that's That's all.
Oh, that's good. Good job. Congratulations. We're proud of all three of you.
Is your daddy Jeff Stroop?
Yes, sir, he is.
You know, I had him in school. Sit down sometime, I'll tell you some.
Congratulations. Then we've also got two statewide winners. Here I'm pleased to recognize. They're called bookmark winners, and I'm anxious to learn a little bit more about that. I think Miss Skelton is here, and maybe Joy. I saw Joy earlier. I'm not sure if she's here. Is she? Oh, okay, there she is. Okay. So, Miss Skelton, let me call up to join with you Miss Kane, Nadia Kane. There she is, right there, and Cheyenne Wise. So. Congratulations to both of you. And Ms. Skelton, let me recognize you to tell us a little bit about what these students have earned.
Thank you. I'm here representing East Middle School, and we also have East Middle School staff members, librarian Penny Britton and Joy Cunningham, our art teacher, and the State Librarians Association. Its acronym is TASL. We have a bookmark contest every year, and it's divided, of course, in age categories. And this year, East Middle School won both state awards in the bookmark contest. So we were just thrilled and excited for our two artistic students, and they are both upcoming, the rising freshmen, and we're just thrilled that they both could be here tonight. They each received a blown-up copy of their bookmark, and this is what hangs on our library wall.
Wow.
And then they also received copies of their bookmark, and so the ladies would like to give you all bookmarks. These are replicas of what they drew, and if that's okay, we'll
Sure,
pass
of course.
those out
Yep.
to the board members.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Oh, two. Thank you. Thank you.
So we appreciate you being here, Ms. Skelton, and so let me ask the other two teachers you recognize to join you, and we have certificates that we want to present to Ms. Kane as the Middle School Division of the Tennessee Association of School Librarians Bookmark Contest. So I'll be right there. Mr. Brooks, you got your camera ready? Yes, sir. Let's get them up here. Y'all line up in front here for the Board of Mayor Alderman. All right, here's yours. Sign this is yours. You're right. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, last but not least, I don't see Mr. Glick here tonight.
Lyle's here for it.
Okay. Okay, there's Mr. Russell. So, Mr. Russell, let me ask you to step to the podium if you don't mind. And recently conducted, was it the sixth? How many years have we been doing the Soapbox Derby?
This was the 19th.
19th year, wow,
19th
okay,
year.
all right. So we have some young people in the audience that we want to recognize and ask them to step forward, and then maybe just give us a little bit of background about the Soapbox Derby. I've been there many times, but perhaps some others haven't, and people watching. What is the Soapbox Derby, and where does it take place?
So the Soapbox Derby happens right out here on Lincoln Street. Most of you have probably seen it, or at worst case, seen the street closed one day in May or June. And what we do is we race cars based on gravity alone downhill. That entire week we're building cars with all of the youth and the parents that come in down at CD Stamps Community Center, and then we have the race on the following Saturday. And it's an all-day event. We start first thing in the morning right when the sun comes up, and it goes on until mid-afternoon or so. And this year we were able to get it all in before the rain. And we have some champions that are here with us tonight that won this year.
Yeah. So let me ask Miss Olivia Thomason to come up front. And we've also got, I don't think, is Ethan Trail here?
He was not able to.
Yeah, not able to do last night. And Richard Thomason. I wonder if there's a relation there. I think so. And we also have Connor Martin. Very good. So I want to recognize each of you for doing such a good job in the Shellbox Derby. Connor, it's yours. Congratulations. Allison. Yeah, leave that for you. Miss Thompson, here's yours. Congratulations. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Russell, and thanks all of you for doing such a good job. Proud of all of you, and congratulations. Okay, we're now ready to open the floor for any comments from citizens. Anyone wish to address the board at this time?
Neil Lepler, 310 Oak Park Circle. First, I'd like to address the issue of the parliamentary law conference that you had. I really was joyful to find out that you took the idea that I had relative to I had limited and you expanded it. And it was really good because the feedback that I've gotten through these other boards throughout the city was they really appreciated what you did.
Yeah.
And I thank you for taking that and expanding it.
I appreciate your initiative, and I was pleased to give you attribution as well, so thank you.
Second thing is that one of the residents in Oak Park had a problem relative to occupancy. They moved into the area, they built their house, put a lot of money into it. The gas station is not a happy thing for them, but they got their occupancy notice and they had R3. Well, they asked me to look into it, and with the help of Brian and with the help of Nina and Rosemary, they all worked me through the law so that I could see what we had, what actually, and R3 has got nothing to do with zoning. It just has to do with housing, and the people really appreciate it. The third issue I want to bring up to you, and I put it in the public record, we were looking at the gas station ordinance. And the reason I did that in the public record is because a lot of work went in to pull this together. And you're going to see this eventually because it'll come up, or some semblance of it will come up to this board. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to take a look at the details of it. And if any of you had any questions about it, you could contact me about it. But what we did is, to give you a little background, a real quick background, is we got professionals, landscape architects, civil engineers. Actually, one of the people on our team was the project manager for the waterfront project in Nashville. Okay. So we put together a plan for the gas station, for a gas station ordinance, which is pretty comprehensive, and you have it there. I'm going to put a copy of this in your mailboxes tomorrow, so you get a chance to look at it. The second thing, or next thing relative to that, I would like, with your permission, I would like to submit this to the Land Development Committee for their review.
So we'll take your request under advisement, and I'll let you know.
Okay. And I also asked that Mr. Lawson would be able to provide copies of, he's got a copy. I would ask that he would make the copies available to those on the planning commission.
Sure. Yeah.
But if anybody has any questions about it, don't hesitate to contact. We spent a lot of time doing this, and we've been over this several times. I hope we'll be able to answer your question.
Thank you, Dr. Lester. Anyone else in the audience wish to address the board at this time? We will proceed. We're ready for board reports. Ms. King, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the Morning Point last week and called bingo that I do every month. Enjoyed being with the residents over there. A wonderful group, and they always have such a good time. So anyway, enjoyed that. We did have a planning commission meeting, a special called planning commission meeting last week, and I'm also the liaison for the tourism committee, and I want to thank that group. They're working really, really hard on several projects, one of which is going to be making baskets that we will be taking to each one of the welcome centers in Tennessee to be able to put out more of what's going on in Tullahoma. So, and they're also working on some welcome signs for Tullahoma as well. So, group's working hard, trying to get a lot accomplished. So, I want to say kudos to everyone who's involved with that. That group is working hard. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Alderman Duncan, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I had the honor of giving the invocation at the Tennessee Backwoods Heritage Society Spring Dinner in Bell Buckle last week. Can I mention his name?
Sure.
Joe Elmore was the Tennessee Crossroads guy that you see on PBS. He was the speaker. Great occasion, as always. They do like 2 of these dinners a year, and 2 or 3. Anyway, the attended the TAEDC meeting. This morning I attended the ACC meeting on Air Force Base, and I just got in from the reception at Milo College for the president. So, and I will have to leave out a little bit early for I got another meeting at the county in just a few minutes.
County Commission meeting, sure. No problem. Dr. Blacks.
I don't have a report other than Shop Tullahoma.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mathis.
Do not have a report, but Shop Tullahoma.
Shop Tullahoma again.
Good. Good. We can't say it enough. Just can't say it enough. Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended Springer Chapel AME Church had a district-wide church school last week where 150 different congregation members from as far away as East Tennessee came together to talk about environmental justice, and they kindly invited me to participate in that. So it was a good day.
Good. Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Alderman Norris, please.
Last weekend, I attended the Tennessee Municipal League conference in Knoxville, along with our interim city director and our city attorney. Very educational. Wish everyone could attend all of those, but all of them. But it's quite educational. That's all I have there.
Okay, very good. Ms. Christopher, anything that you'd like to add?
So the extent of my community involvement thus far and right now during the summer is, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a lifeguard, so that's been my interaction with the community as of late. And as a member of the National Honor Society too, I hope to start up volunteering again at the Tullahoma Fine Arts Center. Last summer I had the privilege of being able to help with their children's summer art camp. And that was really fun and rewarding, so I hope to be doing that again soon.
Good. Well, again, thank you for being here. We appreciate it, and hope you enjoy the meeting.
I did, thank you.
So just a couple of things. I want to remind you that tomorrow is the Lunch and Learn at Parks and Rec. Dr. Trussler is going to be there, and she'll talk about some of her experiences climbing some of the highest mountains in the world. On Thursday is our planning and coordinating meeting. I forgot to thank you for presiding at that the last couple of times, I think. The Grape and Grain Festival, the 4th annual, is this Saturday. Next Wednesday at 10:30 is our monthly Get Fit meeting. And in case you maybe didn't have a chance to attend that or hear about it, we had over 40 people attend that meeting, all interested in fitness, nutrition, tobacco cessation. So it was a really good meeting. A lot of good input. And then just a reminder, thanks to the work of Miss Bryce and our citizen group that we asked to go through the city administrator resumes, that has been reduced now to 2 people, and I believe the Ms. Bryce, if I'm reading the note correct, is Friday, June the 22nd from 4 to 6. Is that right? And Mr. Mathis, do you know if you're able to attend that? She spoke with several aldermen prior to the meeting.
Let's see, the 20, what time?
From 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. We'll interview one at 4 and the other at 5.
I think so.
Okay?
The date again. Excuse me, the date again.
Friday, June the 22nd.
Friday, June 22nd.
Right, Friday, June the 22nd. And Alderman Duncan,
Yes, sir.
Are you good? Okay, Ms. Bryce, I think we're good. Good. So I appreciate her work, and of course, I always appreciate the work of Ms. Rogers with MTAS and our citizen group as well. Just a couple of tidbits that you might have an interest in. Last Saturday, Evelyn and I happened to be driving down Cedar Lane and past Splash Island, and I inquired. It was packed. It was about 7 o'clock. It was so packed. And so I checked in, and a couple of days later, and there were 1,106 people attended on Saturday. 1,106 people. I mean, that's still not the record, according to Mr. Glick, is 1,100 and something, or a little over that. So, also pleased to report there were 11 new housing permits last night, which is really good, and there were $3.2 million in new construction started last month. So that's certainly good news for the community. All right, ready for City Attorney's report. Mr. Worsham, please, sir.
You will recall at the last meeting that we discussed the fact that Mayor Curley had invited an expert with knowledge about Robert's Rules of Order to have a session here at City Hall, and that was on a Wednesday afternoon, I believe, for about an hour. And I attended that because I've been asked many times to give advice about Robert's Rules of Order, and I learned that there's a new edition that I hadn't seen. And I ordered that because I had a 2012 edition. Well, I want you to know that this 217-page Robert's Rules of Order is the last word on Rules of Order. If you all ever have a question about it, I told the mayor, I will probably tell you that I'll take the matter under advisement. In a year or two, I may have an answer for it. But I suggested to Mr. Blackwell that perhaps the board might want to look at our rules of order in our ordinance, because we do have some. They're abbreviated. There aren't very many of them, but we then have a statement that we'll rely upon Robert's Rules of Order if there are any matters that we have not addressed there, which probably is a very prudent thing to have in our Code of Ordinances. But I suggest that the board study and consider the possibility of revising our own rules of order, expanding upon them, but having simple rules about matters that arise on a regular basis that we can deal with, so it won't be anything like a year to give you an answer about what a question is like that. So maybe in the future we can do that. Secondly, I had the privilege and the honor of attending the Tennessee Municipal League and Tennessee Municipal Attorneys Association meeting in Knoxville. Mr. Nolis and Mr. Blackman were there. We didn't get to spend much time together because I was at the attorneys meeting and they were at many other meetings. There are a lot of others I wish I could have attended, but there's a conflict because on the day when we have ours, the Total League is having other meetings, so I couldn't do that. But there was one joint meeting that I did attend, and I want you all to know about this because it's something that's going to rise in the future here in Tullahoma, as it is in other communities already. You might recall in the past that we talked about food trucks and food trucks legislation, and lo and behold, we're now getting food trucks in Tullahoma. 3 or 4 years ago, when we discussed that at the Attorneys Association meeting, we hadn't had any yet that I knew of. Now we have them. There's also talking about Airbnbs, whatever they are, these periodic short-term rentals of people's homes and things like that. And there's a lot of talk about that in larger cities, but that may come here again too, so we may have to look at that again. And of course, when these things arise, there's always legislative issues that also arise that we have to look at. So far, it hadn't happened. I hope it never does, but it might. The third thing is something that will come to Tullahoma, and it's the new small cells legislation. Apparently, Verizon and AT&T were able to convince the legislature that they ought to enact legislation giving them the authority to erect little small cells which will be supplemental to the big cell towers that we have now, because those are at capacity apparently, so that they can put those things all over town in our rights-of-way. The legislature passed this legislation, which admittedly is very confusing, but we did discuss it. I'm going to get a handout from them that's going to go through some of the issues that we'll have to deal with in terms of permitting and things like that in the future. But it's going to be a matter that's going to rise here, and we're going to have to learn to deal with it. Hopefully, because of the confusion in the legislation and some obvious discrepancies and some contradictions, I was told, they'll revise it in the future, but hopefully that'll happen before we have to deal with it here. But it's something we're going to have to think about in the years to come. We also discussed the fact that the legislature extended the right of cooperatives to expand broadband into rural communities, but they didn't give that same right to municipalities. This is something that Senator Bowling's been working on for years, and we need to continue to urge her and support her in that endeavor so that TUA can also expand its broadband capabilities into the surrounding communities here, because we're a long way from a co-op, and so we're going to have people that are unserved in this area because the legislature will not do that, and it's only because of some lobbying by some large organizations that want to keep us from having that capability. So there are many other communities besides ours that want to do it, but several others, not many. Also, we discussed new legislation in the latest cases in the Supreme Court that are of interest to municipalities, and I'll review that with Mr. Blackwell and the mayor and others if you wish. There's nothing, I think, far-reaching or probably very, try to think of the word, very impelling for us right now. There are no issues that we have right now that are going to be affected by that. They did bring up our liquor tax distribution case and the fact that that's being consolidated with the other 4 cases that have been heard by the courts of appeal, so that now it's all going to go before the Supreme Court sometime later on this year. You might recall that I reported to you before that there are 4 cases in East Tennessee that were heard by the Eastern District Court of Appeals in Knoxville. All of them were the result was in favor of the municipalities rather than the counties. Our Middle District Court of Appeals ruled against us and ruled in favor of the county, so that now they're all 5 before the Supreme Court at the same time. And we're very hopeful that by what we call the weight of authority, the Supreme Court will rule in our favor in that case. So I'll keep you informed about that too. So do you have any questions about anything? Yes, sir.
Mr. Orson, with respect to AT&T and Verizon and their small cells, how will they acquire the rights to establish these small cells on property? Will they be allowed to put them on public right-of-ways?
Yes,
how will they acquire sites to put these cells?
They will put them almost anywhere they want to. That's the scary part about this. On any existing utility poles that we have or light fixture, things like that. That's the scary part about that. And we can't grant anybody an exclusive franchise for that. We can grant them franchise, but it's got to be as many as want to do that. There's a permitting process, and I'm going to get a copy of a model permit application to look at, so that we can look at that and study it so that we can be ready when this comes here. But it's really, really scary about where they can put these things, anywhere, as many as they want. There are some limitations about not having so many within 500 feet of each other, things of that nature. That it's real complicated. It's a real thick law, that I'm going to look at. I'll tell you a little bit more about it after I read it, because all we had was a very brief 1-hour session about the review and overview of it.
Do they own some of their own poles in town, utility poles here in town?
No, they'll be on ours. But we have to permit that, yep. These little cells, they're not
I don't think that would be constitutional, is it?
Well, I hope that
in my layman's professional opinion.
I hope that someone tests that.
Yeah.
That's what we all, but so car why. That's the legislation we have
to do. Gun to our head and telling us we have to do something. Yeah. I don't know if that's proper.
Well, when I get the legislation and review it, I'll let you all know more about it, but it's going to be coming after I study it. But it's just something we're going to have to look at and be prepared to deal with when the time arises. and it probably won't be far away.
I know when we had a legislative dinner back in the winter, we talked about this a little bit, but our senator wasn't sure how the winds were blowing with that.
Well, at that time, the legislation was only under consideration, but now it's been enacted, so it's now become the law, until tested by a court and held to be unconstitutional or invalid in some way.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Good report. Thank you very much. Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only thing I'd like to report, last week, staff was notified by the state that we received 3 grants. So that's pretty impressive just in a week's time. So over the next few weeks, y'all will be getting more information as to how much and how they'll be used for. But congratulations to the staff for being successful in that.
Yeah, very good.
That's all.
Yeah, look forward to hearing more. Thank you. Okay, ready for the consent agenda. We have 7 items. 1884 minutes of the May 29th, 2018 special called meeting. 1885 memorandum of understanding with the Tennessee Correction Academy. 1886 approval of transient use agreement with Montlow College. 1887 set public hearing for a request to surplus 825 South Jefferson Street. 1888 set public hearing for CTA number 213, amendment to the zoning ordinance, section 505, landscaping requirements, table L1. 1889, set public hearing to surplus Proctor Road right-of-way. And 1890, set public hearing for a request to surplus a section of North Anderson Street right-of-way. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
What was that?
Second.
Proper motion by Mr. Duncan, seconded by Dr. Blanks. Any discussion? Seeing
I would like to ask a question about the last one, 1890. Could we discuss that a little bit? Surfacing a right-of-way along a city street. It seems a little strange to me.
So this is to set the public hearing. So at that point, we will have a presentation by Mr. Lawson at that point as to what this is about. This is simply sets the public hearing. That's all we're doing tonight.
I'm anxious to hear about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So all those ready to vote for consent agenda, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Ms. Christopher, we're not looking at you. Right up there is the tote board where the votes are. Okay, we have one item of old business, ordinance number 1502, an ordinance of the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee, adopting the annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018, and ending June 30th, 2019, for passage on the second of 3 readings. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Proper motion by Mr. Mathis, seconded by Ms. Keene. Any discussion? All those wishing to vote for the motion as presented, 1502, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Blackwell, any additional old business that you're aware of?
No, sir, there isn't.
All right, we have 2 items of new business. 1891, approval of fire department to accept a donation from UTC Aerospace. Let me get a motion in a second. I'll defer to Mr. Blackwell or his designee for a explanation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Proper motion by Mr. Duncan and seconded by Ms. Keene. Mr. Blackwell.
I'll ask Chief Shasteen to give you
Chief
some
Shasteen.
information.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We've been approached by UTC Aerospace and offered to donate us a golf cart. It's a battery-powered golf cart, and we're going to utilize that in our fire safety program and potentially use it at some of the events around town. It's battery-powered, so it won't put off carbon monoxide or anything. It's quiet. We can utilize that. And that, as well as our fire prevention, where maybe you might see fire pup driving it down the road in the Christmas parade or something like that. No cost to us. We're going to have to do a little tweaking on it, a little upgrade, and maybe paint a fire engine red or something. But we're asking permission to accept that and the thoughts of that.
Will fire pup fit in?
Maybe not the one that was up here the other night, but a version of that.
Fire pup's pup.
His offspring.
He could sit on top and drape his legs across the side of it. All right, any questions? Thank you, Chief Shasteen.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion as presented, vote green, opposed, vote red. Whoops. Motion passes 7-0. Item 1892, certificate of compliance, retail food store, wine, food line, 411 West Lincoln Street. Again, let me get a motion in a second, and I'll defer to Mr. Blackwell for an explanation. Proper motion by Mr. Mathis, seconded by Dr. Blanks. Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a housekeeping measure. Every 2 years, the Alcohol Beverage Commission requires the retail stores to come back for their certificate to be renewed. So it's simply a housekeeping measure.
Okay, you've heard an explanation. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of item 1892, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Blackwell, any other new business you're aware?
No, sir, there is not.
All right, we will adjourn and go into the beer board portion of the agenda. We have one item, on the consent agenda, 18 BB13, minutes of the May 29th beer board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Proper motion, properly seconded. All those in favor of the consent agenda for the beer board, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. We have one application, beer application, on-premises permit, Yamato Steakhouse, 913 North Jackson Street. Let me ask Ms. Yang, Mr. Yang, all right, if you would step to the microphone, please, and someone can, travel with you. So, thank you. Sure, welcome. Have you, Ms. Golden, is everything in order?
Yes, on the agenda, it does say subject to final fire inspection, but Fire Chief did present me with some paperwork this afternoon stating that they had passed.
Okay, so everything else is in order.
Yes, sir.
Have you received a copy of the beer laws of Tullahoma? And have you read those?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? Do you know the sale of beer is a very serious responsibility, okay? Now, what do you have in place that will keep you from selling beer to a minor? What will you do? What will you do to keep from selling beer to a minor?
Check it. ID, everything age, how to be. Up 21.
Okay. All right. Do you know what the hours you can sell beer are in Tullahoma?
And the restaurant hours we usually do 10 hours. It's open from 11 to 9:30, sometimes 10 o'clock. And then
So
weekend.
you're not open in the hours that beer cannot be sold. So I think they're good for whatever they're open. Is that correct?
Plenty of room left.
That's
yes.
right. Okay. So there is at least one organization in the county that offers a vendor, what's it called?
Responsible vendor program.
Responsible vendor program, where they explain to you in more details what the rules are, how to test licenses and things like that. Are you willing to take that class? Okay. So, Ms. Golden, would you communicate with them as to who offers that class, and then because, as I said earlier, the sale of beer is a very serious responsibility, and the police department from time to time will do compliance checks to make sure that sale of beer is not being made to underage and to minors. Okay. All right. You don't sell tobacco, do you? No. Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. All right. The floor is open. Ms. Golden indicates that everything else is in order. The floor is open for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
Appropriate motion by Dr. Blank, seconded by Mr. Mathis. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion vote green, opposed vote red. Motion passes 6-0. Do you have any questions? Okay. All right. Congratulations. You're good to go. Thank you. Have a nice day. Okay. You know where the business? We are adjourned. Have a nice evening.